For this is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be happy. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, freed from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views. The pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu is a Pali word meaning awesome.
Over to you, Ajahn. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you all for listening. Sometimes it's just nice to start something in a good way, and there's lots of very good instructions in that Metta Sutta, a loving kindness sutta, like learning how to be content and easily satisfied, not proud, egocentric, thinking you need so many things to, to be worthy in this life. Just small things is all one needs. Not proud, easy contented, easy satisfied, not demanding in nature. So that's the same even in our meditation practice. Learning how not to be so demanding and wanting when we sit down, close our eyes. If you want to achieve something, what you will achieve is a lot of tension and disappointment. If you're trying to get somewhere, you ask yourself, where are you trying to get? You're here right now, isn't this good enough? This is your home, your room, you may have the aircon on, or at least it's nice and comfortable for you. Where else would you rather be in the world except right here, right now, in this old body of yours? And when you start, I don't know why you're laughing there, I told the story that I was telling many of the monks over in Bodhinyana Monastery, saying I'm getting old. And the monks are so kind. They said, Ajahn Brahm, you're not getting old. I thought, oh, isn't that nice of them to say such beautiful words to me? And they said, you're not getting old because you're already old. I'm almost 70, so I'm getting old. No, actually, I am old. I admit it. I confess. But learning how just to be with your own body, it may be aching, may be old, may be hot, may be cold, learning how to be with this, instead of trying to get it to be something different. And when you can relax with your body, you need the mindfulness there, the awareness. How do you feel? How does this body feel? And a lot of times people go through their life, they hardly understand their body at all, unless it gets really painful, with some sort of sickness or headache or wound or cancer or something. But if we can only understand that body, where even it's not that bad, it's not that sort of good either, but it just, you can feel it, we get to know it. And when you get to know your body, you can find out how it works. One of the mistakes with meditation is being like a control freak. That's not being contented and easily satisfied. That's always being discontent, never being satisfied, always wanting something more, something different. But learning how to be at peace with what you're experiencing in your body. And this amazing thing happens that way. You're mindful, you're aware of an ache, a pain, a sickness. And when you're aware of it and just let it be kind to it. Sometimes people don't know how to let things be, so I say, be kind to it. Open the door of your heart to this moment, which is not an intellectual acceptance as much as an emotional acceptance. Open the door of your heart to this moment. Emotionally be with it. And you find that it may be aching, painful, but then after a while you find the kindness, the acceptance, settles everything down. Often see, just living in monasteries with so many animals around, that if you're kind to animals, the animals just don't harm or hurt you at all. They don't even look after you. Even like snakes and things. I was telling people the story the other day. Sorry. I'm very kind to frogs. That was a frog in my throat. So, even snakes. There was a time I was doing some chanting. This was in Thailand many years ago. And as I was doing some chanting with my hands up here, the monk in front of me, another sort of head appeared over his shoulder. A snake had crawled up his back and he didn't realise it. And then there was these two heads there, the monk's head looking at me and the snake. And I stopped chanting and the snake looked round at the monk and the monk looked to the snake. So they were eyeballing one another, wondering what to do next. Of course, none of us were afraid because we've got lots of kindness. The monk just very gently just moved his robe down so the snake could fall off. Now gently. Instead of going, ah! If he panicked, of course he would have got bitten probably. At least the snake would have been sort of panicking. But when it was done nice and softly, nothing bad happened. And it's the same with your body. Instead of panicking when you've got something wrong with your body, just be kind to it. Be kind to it and then everything just slows down and you can live with things. So we try not to be control freaks of our body, not trying to tell your body what to do, but just to know your body and be kind to it and open the door of your heart to it. Then you find your body really relaxes. Really relaxes. And then what happens next is you always feel the delight in meditation. Even the delight in relaxation. Many people, they go for a massage, or they go for a hot bath, or they go and lie in a recliner, if they possibly can. Imagine some beautiful resort somewhere in the world, and you're in a recliner, nice and warm, and comfortable, safe. Has to be safe for you to be able to relax. And then you find the body gets so at ease. And I can't go to resorts and lay on a recliner. I can't go into a jacuzzi. I've seen jacuzzis, but I've seen all these knobs and I don't know what to do with them. So no way I'm going in there. I'll probably mess things up. No one's ever explained it to me. But anyway, you don't need that. You can sit down and relax your body so deeply, your body feels totally at ease. And it feels delightful. And I generate that, I practice that, just the delight of relaxation. And that keeps your body really healthy, very happy. And so after a little while, the delightful body just disappears. Then basically it's no business. And this might have some clients. They're so happy they don't need to give you a call or send you an email. You got your partner in life, he may be in another room, he's very happy in there, so he doesn't have to disturb you. If he was in trouble, then he would disturb you. But if he's nice and happy over there, he can stay in that room and you can listen to this talk and do some meditation. Just the same, if your body is nice and relaxed, it disappears. So then you can attend to your emotional world. And that's such an important place to understand. So, we find out the most important part of that emotional world. I've always come to this conclusion a long time ago now, and this is how I teach meditation for most people, is actually to know how peaceful you are. Peace of mind. And of course that is a very powerful idea, to have some peace of mind. But what is it? And how is it generated? And of course, knowing the nature of human beings in our modern world, we'd like to measure things. I mean, measuring is a bit of a troublesome thing, but if you do it properly, it shouldn't be that bad. You measure what I call your peaceometer. How peaceful are you, or how agitated are you? I think you can know that much. Simple. But then, like any meter, it has numbers. Number 10 is really agitated, really almost going crazy. So many thoughts, so much stuff. Why? Why does the mind get so agitated and worried and anxious and thinking so much? Why? And why does it calm down? Why does it become nice and peaceful? And so you give it a number from 10, it's really agitated, 1 is really peaceful. 0 is enlightened. -1, -2 is being a monk or a nun or something, I don't know. But anyway, being really, 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 really peaceful. And you can feel, are you peaceful? What makes you more peaceful? And I say this because you can tell people to watch the present moment, to stop thinking, yeah, but why? You motivate people, say, this is what happens when you stay in this moment, this present moment. This is what it feels like. You get more and more and more peaceful. And just like the relaxed body feels delightful, the peaceful mind is also very, very delightful. You enjoy it. So it's not an intellectual journey, it becomes an emotional enhancement of your experience of meditation. You get to know what peace is and how peace grows with the longer you stay in this moment. And after a while the joy becomes so strong that you don't need to think. Have you ever noticed when you're listening to, say, some classical music? That's what I used to do when I was a layperson. Listen for an hour to some classical music. And then I noticed I wasn't thinking. So the whole period, my mind was delighted by the symphony. And you notice every chord which was being played by those great musicians. And it was one of the things which I noticed, the joy of listening to great music, was just how it satisfied my mind so fully, I did not need to think. I wasn't thinking at all. For a long time, I was satisfied with the joy of listening to good music. But this is even more powerful when you're just listening in this moment to the joy of a peaceful mind. It's not as if you have to will yourself to stop thinking, or you stop yourself from wandering into the past and the future. It's natural. The mind just doesn't want to move to the past and the future. It doesn't want to think. It's happy just to be silent inside. Just to know. There wasn't something wrong with the computer. I was silent on purpose. Because that shows just what silence is. And once you start to know what peace of mind is, the silence in this moment, you really recognize and feel at ease there, you find it's very easy to maintain. It maintains itself. So in the meditation, it's not this person who's mindful but also giving instructions all the time. And that's one of the problems with meditation. Yeah, they're mindful. They're always telling what to do this. Now don't do that, do something else. This is what you're supposed to get next. And so many instructions. I don't know about you. Do you like being told what to do? I don't. So instead, you don't tell your mind what to do. You say, here's the present moment, here's silence. Enjoy. And let it do it. And trust it. And then soon the mind is just nice and peaceful, silent. Make sure there's a joy there, because if the joy is there, basically the mind doesn't know what to do. So it starts thinking or planning or writing your autobiography or falling asleep. Has all these choices of anything but being here. But when you really enjoy being here, this is a wonderful place to be. Now, in silence, and you can feel peace, you can taste it. It's real and powerful for you. Once you can taste it and feel it, and it's basically who you are for those few moments, then it's so easy to stay there. And of course, I say this, but it's true. Whenever I do guided meditation, I really enjoy my guided meditation teachings, except the end. When it's ending, I say, now's the time to come out of meditation. Oh, my goodness, that's a struggle. I don't want to say that. I want to carry on. Because you're enjoying it. It's great fun. Just being here, sitting quietly. The relaxed body and the peaceful mind. Whoa, that's so nice. Of course, many people, they do feel other things like the breath as it comes in, but the most important thing is the present moment and silence. And the rest becomes an automatic process. It goes in, deeper and deeper into this silence, into this peace. Yes, sometimes you can feel this air coming into your body. It gives you the energy, it gives you life. The idea of like air, it's always been so close, in our cultures to real life. For example, even the word for breath in Latin is animalis. That's a Latin word for breath. And that's why they're called animals. Animals. Things with breath. To breathe and to exist. They're so close together. So that's why the breath is almost like a fundamental part of your existing. And so that becomes very clear. But you don't control that. You let the breath come in. You let the breath go out. Just like standing this afternoon, it was windy. Standing and let the wind just brush past you. There's no way I can force that wind to blow faster. No way I can stop it blowing. It's nature. All I can do is experience it and let it be. That's why I really enjoy sometimes just standing and just letting the wind blow past you. You can't follow it, you can't find out where it comes from. Just like this moment right now, where does it come from? Where does it go to? You can't really know that. All you can know is it happening right now. Even the breath should ground you in this present moment, just now, just being here. And again, when the breath becomes delightful as well, this gorgeous breath, the feeling of it becomes very exquisite. And you breathe out, no effort, just the body does this. And it feels just so delicious as it breathes out. The whole thing, you're alive, aware, still, peaceful. And the more still and peaceful and aware you are, the more joy you have. This in meditation is, I usually just teach this on retreats and deep teachings, but it enhances your mindfulness. The mindfulness sees more and enjoys more. So often after a retreat, especially my silent retreats, I just go off into my cave for a couple of weeks. You come out afterwards and the first food you taste after a retreat, oh, that is so delicious. It just blows my mind. That time when, it must have been a longer retreat, I'm not sure, but got up in the morning, did some more meditation, and the first breakfast was baked beans. And I still remember, I just put one bean in on a spoon, just one single baked bean, and just tasted it. And oh my goodness, that blew me away. The taste and the flavours, the balance of the tomato sauce, and must have a bit of salt in there, and just the bean was just so incredible. Just the balance. I don't know who invented those baked beans, or what 5-star Michelin chef put them in a tin, which you bought at a Coles supermarket or somewhere, but it certainly was just the most delicious bean I'd ever tasted in my whole life. Why? Because this is your awareness starts to really grow. And what you see it's more deep, more powerful, more beautiful. And that's why with your breath it becomes gorgeous. And it also means that you go very deep inside. Peace is delicious. It's got a flavour which is incredible. So the more peaceful you feel, the more it grows, the more you're going to smile, the more happy you're going to get. And later on the insights, why this happens. You understand a lot about what is suffering and what is bliss. Little by little, those insights come in. The major thing is you just have a wonderful time. Great way of spending half an hour. So that's what happens. And you have a great time. Okay, I can't see the clock properly here. Is it about 7:30? Yeah, okay, excellent. So, now for all of you who have been listening, hopefully understanding, but anyway, the best way of understanding is experiencing these things. So, you may be sitting on a chair, you may be sitting on the floor, I don't know how you're sitting or what you're doing, but as long as your body is reasonably comfortable. And I say to people, I've had some of the greatest meditations just laying in a hospital bed. Weird, but still can get your mind really, really peaceful. So you get your body peaceful first of all. So, please get yourself in your meditation posture, and for half an hour I'll give a guided meditation. Usually I give the guided meditation for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, then I'll be quiet, and when I speak again, it'll be to take everybody out of the meditation. So, here we go. So to start the meditation, please close the eyes. And when you meditate at home, at least you know this is the safest place in the world for you. No one will interfere with you or harm you or interrupt you. So you really can let go of all the concerns for the world outside your body. And when you close your eyes, then first of all, generally feel your body with your mind, with your senses. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it tight? Is it loose? How does your body feel generally? And then to increase the awareness and develop more ease, which leads to peace. How are your legs right now? Just focus on that part of your legs. Your thighs, knees, calves, ankles and feet and toes. How are they feeling now? How far apart are your feet if you're sitting on a chair, or how close together are they? Just adjust them. Don't just assume you've got the best posture. Adjust them. You see that when pilots are just getting things ready before they take off. You know, when you start the car, you make sure everything's in the right place, seatbelt on. Whenever you do anything, preparation, gardening, it's all in preparation of the soil before you even do any planting. So I'm being aware of my feet, making sure they're far enough apart, they're not too far forward, not too far back. So my knees and thighs and calves all feel comfortable. And I'm looking at my legs as if they don't belong to me, but I'm caring for them. I've got responsibility for them, but I don't own them. I want to make sure they're in the best possible position. Then if they are in a good position, then I'll be able to leave them alone, and they'll be happy for half an hour. So I'm feeling those legs. I can feel the feet. Feet feel much better than just when I started. I go up with the ankles. Ankles are very good. Up the calves. Nothing much going on there. The knees are really comfortable. Even though I meditate cross-legged, my knees and legs, they've just been well trained for so many years. They relax, they're happy. And then to my thighs. And I'm just focusing just on my legs. Almost going up and down them, feeling them, checking them out, making sure everything is in its right place. When I feel them, know how the senses are there, I'm always willing to adjust any time. Even though I don't have to adjust, I'm willing to. That degree of care is all that's necessary for those legs to really relax deeply. And when I'm confident that those legs are relaxed to the max, as I say, then I go to the buttocks. I mention that because the buttocks often have to be fidgeted. The reason is because it's hard to find a place where they're really, really comfortable for a long period of time. So when I'm now checking my buttocks, they actually do need to be adjusted, so I'm going to fidget. Please excuse me. Well, that's better. I can feel it already. They're nice and loose and comfortable. So buttocks, are you okay now? Almost like treat them like separate entities. Beings which I live with, rather than beings which I control. My two buttocks, I care for you. And once I'm confident that those buttocks are at ease, and I go to my back. A lot of people have trouble with their backs. And especially if you're going to sit meditation. You've got to be careful. So I look at my back and I tend to stretch it. Just give a good stretch. The reason I do that, again, is because that's what I saw animals doing in the forest. And I thought maybe they know something I don't know. It certainly always feels good. Once I stretch it, then I just relax it. And it usually goes to a state of ease and relaxation far greater than when I started. My back feels good. And I also go to the front of my torso, because in there is just all the digestive tracts and the stomach and the kidneys and livers and goodness knows what else in there, and the lungs and the heart. All that stuff in the front of my body, that's the engine room of my body. I just make sure everything feels okay. I can feel only the slightest bit of tension in my stomach and intestines. Just eating. Had some chocolate this evening. Very nice. And some tea. I can feel that. I just know it. It's like zooming in on something. Like you zoom in on Google Earth. You zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, get closer and closer to the area which you're selecting. And the rest disappears off the screen. I can feel a little bit of tension, only slight, in my tummy. So I focus on it and open the door of my heart to it. Give it a lot of kindness. Letting it be. Once you learn what letting be means, it means you take a feeling which was a few seconds ago, which was tight, you've released the tension. But honestly, that feeling I had in my tummy a minute ago is now gone. You know how to relax your own body. Focusing, being kind, letting things be. And it's like the overreaction of the body is just stopped. And everything relaxes and it's at ease again, a normal body. And I go out to my shoulders. Shoulders are pretty good these days, but there was a time I used to work a lot and the shoulders would get tight and tense. What does tension mean? It means things are being stretched or squashed. I imagine my shoulder muscles is two big bunches of muscles, and they've been pulled apart, stretched, like a tight guitar string or set of strings. I just imagine these invisible beings pulling them apart, stretching them. And then I just imagine these invisible beings just letting go. Letting the muscles in both shoulders relax, which means not being pulled or squashed. Come into this wonderful natural state with no tightness or tension on them at all. In your mindfulness, your awareness, you can feel that. The great thing with mindfulness, it does allow you to have feedback. The feelings change. And you can recognize, I recognize, that the feelings in my shoulders have changed to more ease and more relaxation. I've learned how to do this for so many years. It's so easy to relax my shoulders. Now my shoulders are at ease, I go down my arms to my elbows. Nothing going on there. I haven't had any great accidents or done too much sport injuring my body. I've cared for my body quite well. I go past those down to the wrists and to the hands. It's very easy to feel the hands. There's so many nerve endings in your hands. It's one of the most sensitive parts of your body. So I just know how my hands feel. And I ask my hands as if they belong to somebody else. Hands, are you comfortable? Asking a question is not trying to control, it's just to inquire. Anything I can do for you, hands, to make you more comfortable? My hands say, actually, yes, I can just change the posture slightly. No, actually, that didn't work, so I'm going to go back again. The mindfulness sees if things improve or not. And soon I find the optimum position for my own hands. And they feel comfortable. And I know from experience that now I can leave those hands alone. I won't need to move and they won't disturb me at all for the rest of the meditation. I just settled them down. And then I go up to my neck. The neck and my head on top. Sometimes I do put my head too far forward or too far back, to the left or to the right. And that will create a neck ache. So I make sure I move actually my head back and forth, forward and back. So I find again the best position of balance, using that awareness of the physical feelings as a means of feedback to get the best position. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Enough for me to move away from the neck and now to the face. And those facial muscles, it's almost as if they're making that segue, that transition from the body to the mind. Because those muscles around the eyes, the nose or the mouth or the forehead, they are tense if the emotions inside are not at peace. If I'm angry, afraid, excited, certain muscles around the eyes and the mouth tense up. That's why you can read a person's emotions by how their face looks. So I feel the muscles around the eyes. I know how they feel. I watched them for many years. I know how to relax them. How to loosen any tightness or tension. Until the muscles around the eyes feel totally at ease. The eyes are still closed, but so lightly. The muscles around the mouth are also at ease. And when my facial muscles are at ease, the emotional world is also settled down. And before I leave the body totally, I just check the whole body, all connected from my toes right to the top of my head. It's as if I'm scanning up and down very quickly, just making sure everything is in a good position. But also this is where I start to feel the delight of relaxation. It feels good. It feels gorgeous. What I'm aware of now is delight. The happy feeling of a body which is relaxed so much more than when I started. It feels good. And if there's any part of my body, I can't find anything right now. If there is any part of it which is a bit tight, I'd again zoom in on it, focus in, give it so much kindness. The door of my heart's open to you. I care for you. So instead of reacting with tightness or trying to get something or get rid of something, I'm at ease with it. And that was the cause of relaxation, physical relaxation, and health. I feel everything. So at peace. And I indulge in that delight of relaxation. It's a fun thing to be able to observe. And every time I do that, the relaxation automatically goes deeper. You feel more relaxed. So deeply at ease. physically. And sometimes I just don't want to go to the mind. I'm enjoying this. But I know that it's good to be able to now do the same relaxation technique to your emotional world. So your emotions feel so peacefully delightful. So I look at my peaceometer. Number from 1 to 10. 10 really agitated, 1 really peaceful. It's a little skillful means, a trick, so you can be aware of how peaceful you are. What that peacefulness is. Don't try and write an essay about it. Just know, simply, what makes you more peaceful? What can take that reading closer and closer to 1? If it is delightful, it's so easy to be in this present moment, because it's a nice place to be. And the past, I'll deal with that later. The future, I always convince myself, and it's so easy, it's logical, it's reasonable, it's actually true, that now is where my future is being made. If I aspire for good health and happiness and wisdom, I've got to put my attention in the present moment, right here, right now, where my future is being constructed. So it's easy to convince myself to stay in this moment and feel peace grow, deepen, solidify. Peace of mind with nothing to do in the whole world except just be now enjoying peace and tasting the delight of this peace. Feels good. And it becomes like great music. I don't need to think. Don't need to give orders, to control, to worry, be anxious. Just let this moment be in silence, because it's delightful not to think, just to know. I don't need to give things a name. I need to be a philosopher, just to know. Some of you will become aware of the breath, fine. Just know the breath. You don't own it. You just experience it like the wind passing by your face. This is the air coming into your body and out again. You're like standing away from the action and just watching. Not doing the breathing. Just knowing this moment. This is a time when I will be quiet. About 10 minutes, maybe 8 or 9. When I start speaking again, I'll lead you out of the meditation. Right now, stay in this moment, silent, delighting in the freedom of now. So it's getting close to the end of the meditation period, but don't come out yet. How does it feel inside? How peaceful are your emotions? And how satisfying and delightful is a peaceful mind? You don't need anything, you don't want anything. Just being peace. Just breathing in and out. How does your body feel now? If your awareness comes from inside and starts going to the outer shell of your body, your torso and butt and legs, arms and head. My body always feels so much more relaxed than when I started. It's comfortable, delightful. This is what peace of mind is. It goes even deeper. This is pretty good. I will now ring the gong 3 times, and after the 3rd ringing of the gong, it's time to open the eyes and come out from the meditation. After the 3rd ringing of the gong. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Give me a minute to come back. So, what we used to do at this time is for half an hour to give some discussion, and often I would ask for any questions, any comments for me to talk about. Have you gathered any questions, Rachel?
I don't think there are any, and we just tend to let people ask them live, Ajahn. No, there's no questions. Are there any questions or any requests for topics? Martha? Martha's pointing, but...
Yeah, she's doing a chat or?
No, Rebecca has one. She's got her hand up.
Okay.
Rebecca, just talk. Just unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ajahn, can you remember when you was 8 or 9-year-old kid? You can remember?
Yes.
Was you a precocious kid at that time, or just an ordinary kid that is childish or a kid like?
That's an interesting question. That I know one thing I did when I was about 9 years of age, which I could not do these days, was with a friend of mine. It was a very naughty thing to do, that we made a bomb. And it worked. We let it off in the local park. It went bang. I was very lucky not to injure myself. But it went according to plan. And I thought it was just a wonderful thing to do until we got chased by the park keeper and got into big trouble for that. But that's a naughty thing I remember. I was just experimental. I was just like to explore the world. But the other thing which I recall at that time, probably about more like 10 years of age, that sometimes I remember going in the only primary school, the primary school general knowledge competition, and coming out with the prize. And it was weird because I was asked questions which no one else in all the kids in the class could remember the answer to. And I knew the answer straight away. And also I knew when the teacher had given that information. And that was really weird. But then I recalled later on those experiences that when I was listening to a lecture, especially at school, my mind would be very peaceful. And because it was very peaceful, I listened to what the teacher was saying. And it all went in. It was learning how to, what I call these days, total listening. Which means I wasn't thinking about what I was going to do later on that evening or what happened earlier on that day. I wasn't trying to argue with what the teacher was being said or rejecting it or daydreaming. I didn't know what this word meant at the time. I was actually mindful. In this moment, in a silence, listening to what the teacher said. And so there's this weird things which the teacher said I could recall. But not just recall even the answer, but when the teacher said it as well. It was not a photographic memory. It was like a memory which had been enhanced by the ability to be aware, really aware. And that just, I didn't realize that that was helping me so much at school. Later on, especially as a monk, I started teaching this, especially in schools, especially to students, so that they don't have to try to remember things. Because that's so hard. You read a book and you study it afterwards and you read it again, It's called swatting before exams. But if you listen with total listening when it's being said once, you remember it. It's the same when the exam comes. You read the question, the answer will come up if you are aware enough to listen to that answer, and then you write it down. But for many people, when the answer comes up straight away, they say, oh, that can't be right. And they start doubting and worrying. And that emotional lack of stillness and confidence, that stops the answer coming up in the first place. And so learning how to totally listen was such a great benefit for, going to high school and then university, because you never needed to put so much work into your studies. And still got top marks. It's really unfair sometimes. Over in the town of Cambridge, just before the exam period, I was just doing my social service, going with my math friends, if I could find any, on the boats, the punting. It was a beautiful time of the year. It was June, it was sunny, and had a wonderful time. And people asked me, aren't you studying? Why didn't you go and study? I said, don't need to. And I also recalled another person I met. She was a Sri Lankan girl, brilliant girl in Melbourne. And she was doing something very similar. She had learned her meditation when she was a young kid in Sri Lanka. And she was a very good meditator. she could make her mind really peaceful and still. And so when she did her medical degree, I think it was at Monash University in Melbourne, she was the same. She'd listen to the lecture or she'd read the book once. When it came to the exams at the end of the year, she just wrote the first thing which came into her head. And she got the top marks every year. And they said it was so easy, and she hardly did any work, that all her friends thought that she was cheating somehow. She wasn't cheating. She just learnt just how to learn properly and learn how to use her brain and her mind in a much more efficient way than many people do. And I don't know where I got that from, but it was there when I was a very young kid. I could also do things like that, learn how to learn clearly. And when I needed to answer the question, that it's not confidence, it's just trust. Trust that what came up from your brain was the right answer. And so there's so much benefits we get, from this meditation practice. And I also recall teaching this at high schools, all types of high schools in Perth and other countries, especially when it gets to around October, November time, when the kids are doing these examinations in the year 12s. And I recall just going to, it was at Carmel School, the Jewish school, over in Dianella, because I became very friendly with the rabbi there. He was a little bit on the edge, that rabbi, that's why I was a good friend to him. Moshe Bernstein, lovely man, great friend, good old Moshe Bernstein. Because I remember when he came and visited Bodhinyana Monastery the first time, he said, we all believe in reincarnation too. I said, Jewish tradition, believe in reincarnation? Oh yes. And then later on I saw another rabbi in another interfaith function. I said, I didn't really understand that you all believe in reincarnation. He said, well, most of us don't. But, Rabbi Bernstein is a bit on the edge. But anyway, he became a very good friend. And because of that, that year, he was a chaplain at the Jewish school in Dianella. So he invited me up for the day to teach his year 12s about how to pass exams. And this is the sort of thing I said to him, and to the kids rather, so that when you're studying, just read it calmly. Don't force it. If you're tired, rest, relax. And at the very least, the day before the exam, just hide the books. Listen to a movie if you like a movie, or listen to some soft music, or go for a walk, but don't pick up those exams the night before. Otherwise, you just worry you. And in the morning, have a really good breakfast. And if I tell your mum and dad favourite food, and go there in a very good mood when you do those exams, and you do well. And of course, what happened? They followed that advice, and then I didn't really watch, what happened with those exam results. But I got this letter from the principal of the Jewish school. I forget what his name was. He was the head master of that school. He said, "Thank you so much for coming, Ajahn Brahm. We got the top school in the state that year." They were they have these rankings, who gets the top marks in all of Western Australia, and they got the top. He said, "Thank you." It worked. And you can understand that, because that's what I did. That's what I could have a wonderful time at university and do really well at the same time. And even now, just being able to learn even Buddhist texts and learn how to remember them, the important parts. Because when something is being taught, you make your mind very peaceful, very still, and listen. And then the answer comes up. But even more than that, the insight which comes up. And I tell this, I saw the lady over from United States. She's got sort of scrubs on, so she must be in the medical profession. if you're like a doctor, or even like a nurse or something in that sort of profession, and then sometimes you have all of the experience and knowledge. That's actually what you've been trained to do, what you've learned by reading the books, examinations, learned from other medical professionals. You've also got your own experience, what you've learned on the job. You've also got something else, that intuition which you have. And sometimes when you're in front of a patient, they can't give you the symptoms very clearly. So you have to somehow not just guess, but intuit what's really wrong. Just like that case many years ago of this patient came into the doctor's surgery as a GP this time and said, "No, what's wrong?" He said, "My whole body hurts. The whole body hurts." "What do you mean the whole body hurts?" I said, "Well, I touch this, it hurts. I touch my nose and that hurts. I touch my cheek and my chin and that hurts. I touch my chest, it hurts. I touch my belly, it hurts. I touch my legs, it hurts." And the doctor said, "I know your problem. You've got a broken finger."
Ajahn Brahm, we've got a number of questions. Can I ask them on behalf of the group?
Okay, yes, I better shut up then. I thought I was just getting one question. But that is powerful, learning how to intuit answers when you don't know. You get it from inside. Okay, come on.
Always check if your finger's broken. Ajahn, first question. This is from Sybil in Germany. How do you find out which hindrance stops you from going deeper in the meditation? Thank you so much.
Usually this is myself, that it's always not enough care and kindness. Because care and kindness is usually overcomes this wanting and this ill will. Those are the main hindrances, those first two hindrances. I want, or I don't want. Over in our meditation retreat center we had a beautiful cartoon. So simple but so easy to understand. And it was of this man, very angry, very upset, very having a lot of suffering. And he had a sign. And the sign had these 3 words on it: "I want happiness." And he took it to see the monk, the teacher. And the teacher took that sign and said, 2 mistakes. So the first mistake, he took the sign, "I want happiness," and scrubbed out I. Now the idea of self, me, that's a big problem. So all that was left there was want happiness. The second mistake, want. And he scrubbed out the want. He said, "What's left?" Happiness. I want happiness. When you take off I, when you take off want, all you have left is happiness. That was a cartoon, a drawing, but that was incredibly profound. So those are the hindrances. I want. If you take off those 2, meditation is very, very easy and very joyful. So I want, instead of I want, just loving kindness. Open the door of your heart. No, I don't want anything. It's open to see what happens. There's beautiful kindness and joy on life. Okay? Next question?
Next question. And how does a layperson reach enlightenment?
Easy. If you feel you're a layperson, the sense of I will have all your responsibilities and duties. It is easier to be a nun or a monk, to get enlightened. In the same way, here in Australia, it's easier if you want to go to Sydney, say, from Perth, to get on an aircraft. It doesn't mean you have to, the only way you can get to Sydney is on an aircraft. You can go in a train or in a bus or in a car or bicycle. You can walk if you like. But I would actually recommend getting in an aircraft. It's much quicker, more comfortable for you. So that's why the Buddha made these amazing vehicles, called the Sangha, nuns and monks, for the best way, because you don't need to carry so much. The burdens, which you do have as a layperson, with family, money, possessions, you don't have that so much as a monk or as a nun. You renouncing more, you have more time. But nevertheless, there comes a time in your life when your kids are grown up. Please tell them not to have grandkids, otherwise you're babysitting all the time. Or your retirement, it's good fun, you really love your grandchildren, they love you. But nevertheless, it does take a while out of your meditation time. But when you're still fit enough, and you have a nice quiet place, it's wonderful to be able to spend a lot more time in meditation as you grow older. You still got your faculties, more mellow, good teachings, a nice quiet place, and meditate a lot, and then see what happens. It's one of the reasons why here we spend a lot of funds building that meditation retreat centre. We did that for a purpose, to give not just monks and nuns, but give all of our amazing supporters, all the people I'm looking at right now, the opportunity to get away from your home, away from the emails and telephones, and have 7 days, 9 days, I don't know how many days, just in Jhana Grove, just peaceful, away from everything. It's a safe place, and if there is any problem, they can always call the caretaker and just alert you need to go home because someone's ill. But other than that, it's a very nice, peaceful place. So those are the things which we put out there so that people can do the very, very best in order to get so still, so peaceful. But remember, enlightenment is not an attainment. It's not like getting another degree from a university. It's not getting a skill set, like learning how to be a carpenter, which you forget as you get older and older. It's something which is much more powerful than that. It's like a renunciation, a letting go, especially of this person who you think you were. In other words, enlightenment is more, I prefer calling it disappearing, losing more stuff, not gaining more stuff. Of course, once you lose something, you can't lose any more. So it's a wonderful sense of safety and peace. Whatever you gain, you can always lose. Once you haven't got it anymore, then why was I carrying that burden for such a long time? You didn't need to. So it's learning meditation, learning enlightenment. It's learning how to let go of stuff, not gain more. Okay.
Thank you, Ajahn. Would you like another question?
Yeah, sure.
That was from Anna. This is from Fiona in Hong Kong. Dear Ajahn Brahm, we have 3 middle school children. How can I let go of my fear when it comes to their future, comes to their schooling and future? It is frustrating because I know that fear and worrying are not constructive or helpful or useful.
Yes, I know. You're a mother. Apparently that's what mothers are always worried, no matter sort of how brilliant your kid is. My mother was always worried about me. I was doing really well, but you can always do better. But it's nice to see all those people in the world who didn't do well at school, but did brilliantly at life. I used to remember all these names, from Steve Jobs to Mr. Microsoft and Bill Gates. There's a whole list of people who never finished university. They dropped out. And they've become billionaires, really successful people. And all the sort of the spiritual great people in this world, and Nelson Mandela's. Did Nelson Mandela finish university? Gandhi? No. What was that Gandhi story? That he was always having these wonderful little tests on his professor, And so his professor came up to him and said, Mr. Gandhi, if you were walking down the street and you saw that somebody had left a big bag of money or a big bag of wisdom, which would you pick up? The bag of wisdom or the bag of money? And Mahatma Gandhi said, I'll pick up the bag of money. He said, yeah, see how stupid you guys are. Wisdom is much more important. And then Gandhi said, sir, you always pick up the thing you don't have. He said, I've already got wisdom. I need the money now. So I thought that was a wonderful little sort of answer there. Because sometimes what you learn at school is, you have to go to school. Sometimes you have to go to university. But a lot of times you're not really teaching wisdom. You're just teaching what other people know. So sometimes it's wonderful to take that as far as you feel. But then the greatest understanding of life, the greatest wisdom and knowledge, whatever you call it, is what you find yourself afterwards. A lot of times, too many universities teach the same thing. And sometimes it just constrains our understanding of the world and the ability to have a peaceful, beautiful, harmonious world. With all the peace studies in the world, all the environmental studies in the world, why is it that we're still in trouble? Okay, that's my answer there. Any other questions?
There is a comment, thank you Ajahn Brown from Seema. I will definitely tell my students to apply mindful listening. It is such a powerful advice. Do you have anything else to add to that?
Yes, also kindness, which is really important. You know that sometimes, to make an extra little answer to that question of the mother with 3 kids at school, sometimes to make the point in a large gathering, I ask people to put your hands up if your children... No, put your hands up if you are above average intelligence. I think you've seen me do this before. And I can maybe have a hall of 1,000 people. Put your hands up if you're above average intelligence. Be honest. And they, about 80 or 90% put their hands up. Those who don't put their hands up are not paying attention, or they can't understand what I just said. Because everybody, each one of you listening now, will always think that assume you're above average intelligence. But the truth of the matter is only half of you can be above average intelligence. Only half your children can be above average intelligence. That's the nature of average. And we think there's something wrong when my child is below average intelligence. Half the children in Australia have to be below average intelligence. Even if you had a classroom full of Einsteins, half of those would be below average, half would be above average. So why are we forcing our kids to try and always be in that top half? It's impossible. The most important part of school is children find it rewarding. They find it interesting. They find this big shop of wisdom and knowledge and experience, and they can taste and try so many different varieties of wisdom and knowledge from school, from university, until they find out something which is really useful for them. It might not be useful for anybody else in the whole world, but for them it works. Okay?
Very good. Thank you, Ajahn Brahm. I had a general question, but it's 8:28, so it can wait till next
No, I've got 2
time.
minutes.
Yeah, you've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, I just would like to know any comments from a Buddhist perspective on all the rallies that the women are having at the moment against sexual abuse and safe workplaces.
Wonderful. It's we do need more safety. And sometimes you can see the frustration. And not frustration, disappointment. How come there are not enough safe workplaces? What on the earth is going on? And these are our leaders, are the ones who are just most reprehensible here. And so that all those wonderful women doing those marches, a great thing which they're doing. And hopefully the message will go in. So all of the other leaders, especially the men in power, you may be running a country, but you cannot run the person in your office who is doing your secretary work or something if they happen to be a woman. Please understand just what your leadership means. Power corrupts. And sometimes absolute power, or at least a lot of power, just corrupts, and people in those situations feel that they're untouchable. They can do whatever they want. It's great that they've loud and clear, you can't do what you want. You do what is right, what is kind, and respectful.